But thankfully, the Supreme Court and Trump have decoupled abortion, right? It's not a national issue anymore.
I've said this several times before. There's a lady called Jessica Tarlov who's on The Five on Fox, and I don't know where she gets her resilience from, her patience. It's always basically four goons trying to shout her down. Take today, Monday. Greg Gutted was trying to say that, well, Trump hasn't changed his position on abortion, which is clearly not true. It's an Achilles heel for him, something that they're just all over the place on the subject. So I set it up. Just watch how Jessica, she does it so well.
Off the table. So women don't have to be the single issue voter anymore. They don't have to ignore crime, immigration, inflation, energy, education, all of these huge issues, what we would call the rest of the world. You don't have to just vote based on what Planned Parenthood demands of you. You know, he's already said he's against the national ban. So the right to choose is now a state issue, which is closer to the voter. I bring this up because this is going to come up tomorrow. And Trump just needs to say, this is not part of my, my decision making. It's now back to you. So a vote for or against Trump from a woman has no impact on the issue of abortion. Has no impact. The Dems don't want you to know that. They're very reductive. If you're a woman, it has to be about abortion. How insulting is that? How stereotypical is that? That you can't think about inflation, that you can't think about foreign policy. Ooh, that's not important. It's my right to choose. It's not on the table.
Well, why did Trump flip-flop on it?
You know, Dana.
He never did.
He did last week. On how he's going to vote on Florida.
I just told you.
He said he knows that a 6-week abortion ban is draconian. And then when I guess he heard from his big donors, he said, you know what, I'm just going to let it go.
That doesn't, you just heard my answer. This is a state thing. It's closer to the voters. He does. I mean, you could bring that up, but that's like playing in the weeds. What I'm talking about right now is the issue is decoupled from the election.
Right.
There's a rigged trial.
They rigged an election.
The system is rigged. Mexico's going to pay for the wall.
That created maybe the best economy.
The virus that goes away in April with the heat. November 5th is going to be the most important day in the history of our country.
There's a great degree of racism involved here that we don't talk about enough. Trump's coalition is 85% white in a country that's 59% white. And people, when I say that to my old Republican friends, they go, so, okay, Stuart, you mean everybody who voted for Trump was a racist? It's like, no, but it means that everybody who voted for Trump, there was something more important to them than having a racist as president, because you can't deny that Donald Trump is a racist. And I think that the party has become driven by this white grievance and this anger. And it's really at war with the future. This is a party that gets in a fight with Nike over Colin Kaepernick, gets in a fight with Disney. I mean, this is just a rejection of the world as it is. And it's so different from the Reagan era, where I was drawn to the party, which was optimistic. When to be born in America, you won life's lottery. To be born in Trump's America, you're a victim. You're a sucker. There are these powerful forces out there that take advantage of you. And I think that that is a complete reversal of what it means to be an American.
Jonathan, why is Donald Trump not talking about inflation here? Why is he going in areas that we heard, his campaign staff didn't want him to go into? Because Donald Trump, people tuning in, well, why are they talking about January the 6th on Monday morning in September? Why aren't they talking? Because he's bringing this up. Because he's focusing on January the 6th. Because he's focusing on political violence. Because he's focusing on spreading the big lie. Because he's focusing on violence. And so he's doing that for a reason. We didn't even show the clip where he talked about in his mass deportations how they were going to be, quote, bloody. Jonathan, he is choosing to speak on violence, on riots, on the undermining of American democracy. He is making that choice. He is leaning into that in his final stretch in the campaign. Why?
That's his closing argument right now, because there is fears he could lose because this race is so close. And it's certainly It's not a given that he's going to lose, but we know, I've talked to people around him, he is concerned he might. He knows his freedom is on the line. And we know that he has received one legal win after another, and now we know his New York sentencing won't happen until after the election either. But at this point, but those delay tactics, as successful as they've been so far, well, if he were to lose in November, well, then it doesn't matter again, because all those cases spring back to life, and he won't have the power of the presidency to make them go away. So there is real panic there.
If you were advising Kamala Harris going into this debate on, I guess, Monday or Tuesday, with Donald Trump, he's not a fun or easy guy to debate, obviously. How do you think she should proceed?
Yeah. Look, I think that, every opportunity that Donald Trump gets to show the American people who he is, he pretty clearly, and look, his running mate is doing this too. I mean, this is my diplomatic way of saying it. They're misogynistic pigs. And
seeing more of that. I mean, I'm really curious to see how she'll be deployed by the campaign and what kind of dealings she's had with Kamala Harris's team. And I'm not sure, she didn't really get into that, but I think, she certainly will play a role.
Of actually watching the election that Donald Trump put in charge, Chris Krebs said it was the cleanest, fairest election on record. Of course, Donald Trump, and this is the thing. People go, oh, I don't know what to believe because Donald Trump says this, but then I turn on this cable news channel that's lying for 24 hours a day on the right, and they tell me that what he's saying is the truth. Mm-hmm. Really?
Or they don't talk about it.
You know what the truth is, and you deliberately choose lies. You know where the light is, and you deliberately choose the darkness. You do it deliberately because you know, and I know, 63 federal judges said there was no evidence of any fraudulent behavior, any widespread voter fraud in 2020. The pace that has picked up so much over the past couple of weeks about Donald Trump saying, oh, they're going to steal the election, they're going to steal the it suggests the man doesn't have a whole lot of confidence that he's actually going to win this election.
Who knew Nikki Haley's aspiration in life, her political goal was to be the new Ted Cruz? Do you remember the time when former guy had a go at Ted Cruz's wife, was it Heidi? And Ted Cruz, and now he can't get up the backside of Trump quick enough. Nikki Haley said some interesting things during her campaign to be the Republican nominee, and now she's done a 360. Not only done a 360, but is on news shows trying to defend Trump's sexist, threatening, nasty rhetoric.
We know that since Vice President Harris entered the race, the gap among women voters has grown to a now double-digit lead for her over Donald Trump, according to our CBS most recent survey. So how do they close that? Because just as recently as last week, J.D. Vance said he's disoriented and disturbed that the head of the most powerful teachers union in the country doesn't have a single child. He continues to say things that certainly are highlighted as being offensive to women. That is going to hurt, won't it, with female voters?
It's not helpful. It's not helpful. I mean,
is he an effective messenger for the policies you say they are stronger on?
I think that the policy, look, you can either look at style or you can look at substance. I choose as a voter to look at substance.
I would love to listen to a phone call between Liz Cheney and Nikki Haley. Nikki Haley just has the spine of a watermelon. She's an embarrassment. The fact she's even actually out there doing interviews and offering to campaign for the guy she really can't stand it's a bit sad. I mean, even DanSantis hasn't, I don't think DanSantis has rushed to a stage to be on with former guy.
Thanks so much for joining us. It's not just that the Department of Justice is saying, oh, Russia, Russia, Russia again. I don't know that I trust them because they've spun this in such a way to push the voters in the past that these people are all for Donald Trump. And it's just, I don't know that I trust them. What about you?
You're asking me if I trust the Department of Justice. I represent Donald Trump. There's nobody who's been more persecuted in the last 3.5 years in an attempt to interfere in the election, I assure you, Jason. So, no, I'm not going to comment on that. I think my answer is pretty clear. But let's talk about what they are doing. It's so obvious. So the story is now that there's a criminal investigation about a $10 million payment to 2 individuals who had no idea that they were being backed by a company that eventually allegedly had ties to Russia. Okay, so in 2016, what happened? There was the Russia hoax. The media peddled a story that we now know was funded by members of the DNC, their lawyers, Hillary Clinton.
Choose your clown. That's all I will say. Choose your clown. Alina Yabba Dabba Doo or Nikki Haley. Oh, dear, can you imagine? The world is where Yabba Dabba Doo and Nikki Haley are the best you can do to try and shore up and get some interest in the female vote.
Dominance. We sell energy to our friends and allies. We build up endowment funds, and then you can help pay for the cost of things that Americans need, just like we do in our state.
Well, and just to be clear, he was asked about how he would pay for childcare. He invoked tariffs. The person who asked him the question said his answer was insulting to parents because it sent the message that child care expenses are no big deal. Was he specifically saying that tariffs would pay for child care? And I guess a lot of people wonder, how did the two relate?
Well, I think that, first of all, dollars are fungible. And so if we've got dollars coming into the federal government that's coming from smart tariffs, where we're going for equal and fair trade, because President